Today, I'm going to talk about the 5 things that you need to know when buying your very first home. Nailed it! What's up, everybody? Dane and Añar, mortgage advisor here, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the 5 things that you really need to know when buying your very first home. Now, there's obvious reasons like have a job and, make sure that you find the right home for you, but I wanted to talk to you guys about the things that a lot of people don't even really talk about. And let's start with number 1. Number 1, do this for you and your family. Don't do this because anybody else is telling you to do so. Now, obviously, your parents and your friends and your colleagues are all going to say that it's better to buy a home than to rent, and that is obviously true. But if somebody is telling you to buy a home because they think it's the right decision for you, make sure in your gut it is the right decision for you and your family, if there is a family there. Don't do this because somebody else is telling you to do it, and don't feel like you're pressured into buying a home. If you're not ready to buy a home, don't buy a home. Number 2. Get your credit right. Yes, I said it. Get your credit score into a good position. Now, as a broker, as a lender, I am able to go down all the way to 580 FICO scores or credit scores, as you may know it. 580, that's pretty low. And sometimes I can go even lower than 580 as well, depending on your scenario. Now, obviously, if you're 580 or below, your options for a mortgage aren't going to be great. You will have options, but they won't be the best options out there. With a lower credit score, such as 580 or below, you're going to get a higher interest rate because essentially you're more risk to the lender or to the investor that's giving you money to be able to buy your house. Now, obviously, we want to be able to eliminate that risk and minimize it as much as possible, so we want to try and get your credit score as high as possible. Now, the differences between a 580, a 620, and a 640, 660, 720, 780, there's significant differences in each. Now, with every one of those breaks, you're going to get a lower interest rate each time you go to each of those scores. Now, don't quote me on that. It is what it is for my company. That's how it works in my business and my brokerage. Maybe different for somebody else that you're working with, and hopefully you're working with me, not anybody else, let's be honest. But if you're at a 619 versus a 620, it can mean an eighth of a point of a difference. It can mean a full % of a difference. I don't want to have to put the disclaimer in on what it's going to be specifically for your situation, but it could be a make or break in your situation. So make sure that your credit score is as high as it can be, and that means paying off some debt. If you have to sell a few things to be able to pay that off, then do what you have to do, but make sure your credit score is as high as possible, because while yes, we can finance you at a 580, it's not going to be the best if we could finance you at a 640 or even a 720. And if you have questions on how to get your scores higher, talk to me. I've done it for myself personally. I've done it for my friends. I've done it for my clients, my colleagues. I've done it for a lot of people. I can't necessarily promote that I'm a credit advisor in any of my videos because I'm not, but I do have experience firsthand doing it myself. Number 3. Get your documents ready and make sure you can source your down payment. And I'll go into that in just a second. The documents you're going to need in order to be able to get pre-qualified or pre-approved for a loan are as follows. The last 2 years of your W-2s, the last 2 years of your tax returns, last 60 days of your bank statements, last 60 days of your pay stubs, and a copy of your ID. Now, that is just the basics. If you're going VA, we're going to need a few other documents. If we're going USDA, we're going to need a few other documents. It all depends. Every loan situation is always going to be unique in itself. But those 5 documents are the ones that you're going to need to start off with. So make sure you get those ready for your lender so that you don't have to go scrambling around trying to find all those documents because you don't know where they're at. Make sure you know where they're at because it makes everybody's life easier. I promise you it does. Now, down payment. Yes, there are options out there to go 0% down, such as VA, USDA, and there are also down payment assistance loans out there as well. But you also want to make sure that if you are using a down payment, make sure that there is a paper trail to that down payment. I can't tell you how many times I have seen somebody say, oh, I just happen to have $80,000 sitting in the back of my house or in a safe or literally buried in a backyard. Yes, that has actually happened to me. But make sure that your down payment has a paper trail, because one, we're not in this business to do anything illegal. We need to make sure that everything is 100% legal and above board. And two, it just makes things look less illegal in your situation. If you do happen to have money that's just sitting in your backyard for some reason, or it's sitting in a safe because you've just been collecting cash over the last 10 years, put it in a bank account, let it season for 90 days. And when I say season, I mean let it sit. Don't put it in a bank account, then spend it all, and then put it back in. Let it sit for 90 days. Also, if you don't have your down payment in a 401k account, or in your savings account, your checking account, or in your backyard, you do have the option, if you have toys, assets, maybe you're selling off a car or a motorcycle, or some big ticket item, you can sell that thing, get the cash, and utilize that towards your down payment. Now, you're going to have to explain where that money came from, and it's going to come in the form of what's called a letter of explanation, or an LOE, but you at least have an explanation of where that cash came from. So make sure if you do sell like a car or a motorcycle, or like a boat, jet ski, something like that, that you have the bill of sale, so that you can prove that you actually sold that document or that item. And 2, just be ready to explain where that big chunk of change came from. Number 4, work with people that you trust. There are 2 people that you're going to be working with very closely through this entire process. Someone like me, your money guy, your mortgage lender, mortgage broker, your financer, whatever you want to call them. And number 2, your real estate agent. Now, these 2 people, you need to trust that they are going to do everything they can to make sure that you get the best deal. Trust your gut, trust your instincts, trust your friends, trust your family. Whoever you decide to trust, make sure that you have 100% faith in whoever you are working with. Because if you don't, then your experience isn't going to be great, and you may not trust the person every time they give you any information. So make sure you trust them so that you are 100% satisfied, guaranteed, so that you are 100% confident in your decision to purchase this house. Number 5, don't be house poor. Now, you're probably wondering, what does that even mean, right? Me as a lender, when I look at all of your finances, how much money you make in per month, how much money is going out per month, I take a look at what's called your debt to income ratio. Now, your debt to income ratio has to fall below a certain percentage based off of the lender, the bank that you're working with. It's different for everybody. But let's say you have a really good debt to income ratio, and your lender says that you are pre-approved for up to, let's say, $500,000 for a house. Now, maybe the house in the area that you're looking is only $250,000, and you know that if you go a full $500,000, then you're gonna have a really large mortgage payment, right? Don't overspend is what I'm saying. Don't buy that house that's going to put you in a position where you're barely struggling to make your mortgage payment. You're barely struggling to put food on the table. You're eating top ramen because you got a great view out your backyard. Is it really worth it? Back in 2007, 2008, when the mortgage, or when the real estate bubble was about to burst, there's so many people buying houses, ridiculous amount of houses on such crappy, and pardon my French, loan scenarios, that they were only having to pay a couple $100, because essentially that was the interest on this insanely expensive home, right? But once that moment of when they had to pay the principal, the interest, and all the other things that came along with the mortgage payment, they were no longer able to afford that payment. Nowadays, we don't do that. You can't do that. It's illegal to do that. It's called predatory lending, and that is not something any of us want to do. Nowadays, you have to be able to qualify for the total amount that you can pay per month, and that's including your principal and your interest, your taxes, your insurance, and any other fees that are going along into that, depending on what program that you're on. But if let's say you only want to pay $2,200 a month, but you are qualified to be able to spend $4,500 a month, that doesn't mean that you need to spend $4,500 a month. Buy what you can afford. Buy what you are comfortable with. Don't go gung-ho and buy something so extravagant that you can't afford to eat, or that you can't afford to have a life because you're too busy paying that mortgage off. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video today. Hopefully these 5 tips helped you get a better understanding of the home buying process, and allows you to be able to be smarter, be more educated, be more informed when buying your very first home. Thank you so much for watching these videos. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button down below. I don't know how to do this because I'm still very new to YouTube. And if you aren't following me on Instagram, make sure you please follow me on Instagram and Facebook at whoisdane.mortgage. And let's go grab coffee. I've had a lot of it today, so we should go grab some more. Cheers, everyone. Love you all. Have a good day. See ya.